Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the latte inspired makeup, but I wanted to make it a little extra glam and add some rhinestones and like a big fat lash. I feel like what everybody is kind of seeing in these latte makeup looks is a model with the most amazing features and the most amazing skin of all time. So while it is a gorgeous look, it's also like pretty simple and pretty understated, and it's also a look that every Los Angeles makeup artist has been doing on like every client since the beginning of time. So it's not a new thing, but it is a beautiful look, and I like having a name for something like this, especially because I had a client last weekend who was like, I want the latte look, and I was like, perfect, I know exactly what you mean. So it is really fun. I added a little bit of extra glitz because I want to be fab. And on the roster for our conversation today, we're going to be talking about family visits at the School for Troubled Girls. There were on-campus visits, off-campus visits, and also home passes. So we're just going to talk about this general subject of passes, what they were like, and all the very strict rules that you had to abide by while still on pass. Just because you were with family doesn't mean you could relax. Your family could actually turn you in and add you time. Some parents did that, which always blew my mind. So yeah, we're gonna do this glam using almost exclusively drugstore or affordable, little cocktail of both. Some of these are like online brands, and most of it you can find at like Target or Ulta or whatever. So yeah, let's get into it. Take my sunglasses off. These have been on my head. Oh, it looks better with them on. I'm just gonna leave them on my head to cover my hair. I may or may not have a little wine in this cup. Might be water, might not. We're going to start with the skin, and then I'm going to start talking. So I thought a lot about what to use since it needs to be affordable. I have the Pretty Fresh from ColourPop, but I also have the Moonshot. To be honest, the Moonshot is $18 and this one is $15. I like this one much more. So I'm going to use this one, even though technically this one is a lot more cost efficient, but I like this one better. So what should I do? Yeah, I'm gonna use the Moonshot. So this is a K-beauty brand. You can get it from like Yes Style or Amazon. I'll have everything linked below. I only have a Florisis puff, which is a different brand, but I'm gonna use it, and I'm gonna start with the skin because I'm really red from being in the sun lately. So let's go into details as I get my makeup on my puff. So you didn't actually leave campus for the first 4 months, but you did get a family visit after 2 months. When you got your visit greatly depended on the time that you came into the program. Passes were always at the end of every other month. So say you arrived, I arrived in February, for example, so I didn't get a pass until the end of April. But if you came at the end of February, you would get a pass much sooner than somebody who arrived at the beginning of February. I remember I was sitting on my first day around the lunch table with the girls, and they were saying how I was kind of unlucky because I arrived pretty much at the beginning of the month, but at least I didn't arrive on the first. They were like trying to make me feel better, but they also weren't, you know, these were teenage girls. Even if my best interest was in their minds, it didn't really work out that way. Like, teenage girls aren't always very comforting. So you did get your first visit after the first 2 months after arrival, and passes were on the last weekend. However, the groups alternated. So half the girls would go on pass at a time. So I arrived in February. I didn't get that pass because you don't get a pass the same month you arrive. So half of the school that I went with got to go on pass, and then the rest of us stayed home. And then the next pass came and I stayed home. And then finally on the third pass, I got to go. Also, by the way, just because this is like affordable does not mean it's not great makeup. These are all my favorite versions of affordable makeup. So anyway, so when half of the group would go on pass and the rest would not, the girls who stayed home would usually be crying. And then, the girls would still have to sleep. It was a 2-day visit, but the girls would still have to come back and sleep on campus. And they would be so excited, the girls who got to go, and they would want to tell their friends on campus about what they did and what they want, where they went and where they ate and stuff. And you'd have to kind of suck it up and be happy for your friends. But there was always girls crying because just listening in on hearing the excitement and the connection that other people experienced with their families that day while you stayed home, sometimes you just couldn't help but cry. I know that I teared up a couple times when I had to stay home just because you see other girls reconnecting with their siblings and stuff who they haven't seen in months, and it's just emotional because you can't participate in it, but you're watching it happen. It's like the same sting if you see your ex with somebody else. It's that same feeling of like grief and dread and sadness. Like at this age, being a part of the group and having interpersonal relationships with your peers is so important. But at the same time, it was really hard sometimes to maintain those relationships because we were already so limited in what we were allowed to talk about. And then also like half of us had family visits at a time. It just like we always were kind of pitted against each other. And we were also encouraged to like tell on each other and whatnot, which I'll get into a little bit more later because that happened a lot on family visits. So it was just a tough time. That was a tough time if you didn't get a visit that month. And you would relive that like again and again because throughout your whole program, one group would go on family visit every month and one group would stay back. And it just depended on, like I said, when you got there. So it was bittersweet. We wanted to be able to celebrate our own visits as well. But sometimes you kind of knew when you came back from pass not to say anything, even to your closest friends. Unless they asked, you would just say, yeah, I had a good time, and you wouldn't go into detail that much because if you were sensitive to the people around you, you wouldn't want them to know that you just had the best time in like 4 months or 2 months because they didn't experience that. They stayed home and knew that you were out on the town. So passes consisted of 2 days, but your first visit, the first time you see your parents after 2 to 4 months, depending on when you arrived or depending on if you got in trouble. Some people lost those first visits. I was on good behavior, so I never lost a visit, but I came in the beginning of February, so I didn't get my pass until the end of April, which was quite a while, right? February, March, end of April. So like 2.5 months. So the first visit for me after 2.5 months, by the way, I really love this contour stick. Where did I put it? It's ColourPop and I just got it. And this is the first time I've ever tried it. And I'm loving it. So ColourPop is so good. So anyway, my first visit after 2.5 months and everybody else's, depending on when you came, your first visit was always on campus. And when it was your first visit, you got less time with family. So the girls who would go off campus on Saturdays, they would get 6 hours. And those were like girls with seniority with more time under their belt. And then girls who had to stay on campus for their first visit only got 4 hours. So that also was bittersweet. And also, if you'd been in trouble, you'd just pretty much get reamed out your whole pass, which wasn't super pleasant anyway. So when you were on campus for your passes, all the same rules applied. Like you weren't allowed to have outside food, treats, snacks, sweets. They would feed you lunch and they would have dessert whenever parents came. So you got to enjoy that. But like your parents couldn't like bring you candy unless they didn't mind breaking the rules, which actually my mom always broke the rules with me. My mom was like my mom didn't care. She cared enough to bring me to the center, but then I think bringing me to the center, she also felt bad for me because like I was in kiddie jail and she like tried to make it up for me in that way. My dad, he wasn't safe. Like I couldn't tell him anything, but me and my mom would break the rules together and kind of bond over that. Now we're gonna go ahead with this Wet n Wild shadow, and this is gonna lay down our base for this latte makeup. This latte makeup situation is actually a lot more simple than you'd imagine. It's just a brown monochromatic look, but we're gonna participate in this trend because I want a neutral look with crystals. So yeah, and also by the way, if you love bronzy tones, I love this liquid shadow. This is the liquid Catsuit in the shade Sandcastles by Wet n Wild, and it's like a few dollars, and it is so good. I like to let it dry a little bit before blending because then it's not as wet. So when you were on your first on-campus family visit, both of your parents could come, but you couldn't bring your siblings. So I didn't see my siblings for 4 months. Nobody got to see their siblings for 4 months. And then if you were like a bad girl, they would have you stay close to campus, like inside where they could see you and stuff. But if you were just like a normal student, you could wander pretty much the entire campus. And so me and my mom actually went to a very private area, and my mom was so bad now that I'm thinking of it. This was a really big deal that my mom did. My mom let me use her phone, but she would say like, I'll hold it so you don't get in trouble, you know, like we're not breaking the rules, you know. So she like took videos of me to send back to my friends. So instead of like calling my friends, which was technically against the rules, she like held the phone, and I would say to my best friend Eli, may he rest in peace, my bestie from childhood passed a couple years ago. I wonder if he can hear me. Eli, I love you. Sorry we had a falling out. So I sent messages back to him in particular. That was my bestie, and also my friend Abby, who I am still in touch with. And like my mom like helped me like break the rules or whatever, and she was like pleased by it because my mom was always like the coolest parent out of my two parents because my dad was so rigid. So my mom would like let me break all the rules, but like at the same time my mom had like this religious conviction and deep inside her soul or whatever. So we did that. If I was found out for doing that, I would have gotten time added. So I never technically got time added, even though I ended up staying there for forever, because the program extension that I had was within an internship. And it was just kind of like me being like lost at sea and my parents not actively taking me out. Like most parents would actively say that's enough and take their daughters out, but like just like nobody came for me, you know? So that's why I was there so long. But if I got caught for doing any of the things that I did on my visits, which I talked on the phone many times and I sent videos to friends, I did a bunch of stuff that I wasn't supposed to do, but I never was formally caught. So also, since it was like the 4 hours on campus and my parents are divorced, we had to split the time up. 4 hours with my mom and 4 hours with my dad, which was like always really annoying because every single pass I was like torn in between my parents, and that's just like really common. Like many people's parents are divorced, but I have the type of parents that cannot be in the room together. Like it's crazy. So I was always kind of like splitting up my time. Like I didn't just get one long leg with both my parents. I got like 2 short visits, which was like always stressing me the frick out. But like I can't even complain because at least I got my visits, because some girls got their visits taken away. So again, another rule when you're on campus, you're not allowed to like have a pen and paper. You're not allowed to write notes home to your siblings or to your friends. Like you can't write anything, you can't receive notes, you can't receive mail. Like I said, you can't receive treats, you can't receive messages. And before your parents even get to see you on this like first visit, you go for family counseling and the parents go into a separate meeting with the director. And in that meeting, he pretty much tells the parents that we will say X, Y, and Z to try to get home. We'll say that it's horrible here. And they pretty much like prevent anything that we could say from convincing our parents to remove us or convincing our parents that things are really good here, but we're gonna like lie about it. So our parents have already been through one one-on-one session with the counselor, one joint session with us in front of the counselor, and then one private parent meeting as a group with the directors. So like there wasn't like a lot of opportunity for us to like kind of like plot a move to escape or whatever. There was just like, it just like wasn't really a thing. Passes, whether on or off campus, I believe started at noon. So they were on the weekends, and on the weekends we would wake up at 8. We would take showers until 9. Then we would have breakfast, wake up at 8, shower till 9, then walk over to the lodge, breakfast at like 9:15, and then we'd go to school for a couple of hours while they were debriefing our parents or while they were squeezing in counseling sessions. Sometimes you would have the counseling session Friday, sometimes it would be Saturday. You never knew. It just depended on like when they could like fit you in, because they had to do this for all of the parents who were coming for a visit, which was like 20, 40, 60, which was like 30 sets of parents. So, you know, there's like only so many hours in a day. And some people, like if they were in trouble and stuff, their counseling sessions would be longer. My counseling sessions were always super simple because, believe it or not, I was an angel when I was at the school. All I wanted was approval, acceptance, love. And I also, not only that, but I had a great, great fear of God and of the school itself. So I never got into any trouble that could add me time. When I got in trouble and when I broke the rules, it was only when I knew that I could do it. So like with my mom, I knew I could do it. With my dad, couldn't do it. So I didn't, you know. So back to the rules on campus. We still had to eat all our food at the table. We had lunch on campus. We were banned from listening to music, reading magazines, any type of literature, anything that was non-Christian, like music-wise. I think you could listen to like the music they were playing, obviously, but you couldn't like stream music from a phone. You couldn't touch a phone. You couldn't look at pictures from home. Couldn't do anything. Time went pretty fast if you had your first on-campus pass, because you only got 4 hours, so your pass was from 12 to 4. And then people who got off-campus passes, which I'm going to detail, were from 12 to 6. So you'd have to go back to the group, and then there'd still be people out partying, and you'd just be wishing you were them. And by the way, when I say partying, it was not actually partying. It was like having lunch. My favorite budget-friendly eyeliner I cannot find. It's by CoverGirl, so I'm going to use this other LA Girl one, but just know that I'm going to link the CoverGirl one because it's way better. This is not very good, this eyeliner. I remember when I bought it for a drugstore makeup, and I used it, it failed, and then I said I wasn't telling you what it was because it sucks so bad. So I'm going to continue, like, just not mentioning this, but using it on occasion. So when you do the latte makeup, like I like to do like a little inner corner moment in a small wing. This is like the Hot Girl eyeliner, and yeah, it's supreme. Try it. A thin wing and a little inner corner moment and some liner in the lash line. And you know what's so funny? I was getting in a fight with somebody on TikTok this week because I posted about like House Labs foundation. I said I didn't like it that much. Like I said it was good, but I wasn't in love with it. And somebody like started saying, you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, okay, like you got your outfit from JCPenney. Like I'll see you there. Like I was talking shit and she was talking shit. And then she said, at least I don't put eyeliner in my liquid eyeliner in my lower lash line and put on fake freckles to disguise that I'm an ugly old hag. And I was like I couldn't even reply. At that point, I just blocked her because I was like, this is getting crazy. Like, these are just like little disses that we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be going like this far. And I won't like rip somebody apart for like the way that they look. Like, I made one small JCPenney comment and it was over for me. She was so mad that I said that. I literally said the foundation was good, but I wasn't like obsessed. And she was so pissed about it. There were two people who were really severely pissed, her and this other girl, that I had to delete the comments because I'm like, one of the comments got filtered because she was like, you sound so, it wasn't conceited, it was a word with a C and not the really bad one, but you sound so something. She was so mad. Like, how could you get this mad over me not loving a foundation? Like, you should be glad. Like, what if I didn't love it and I told you that I fucking did and then you bought it and then you were disappointed? Wouldn't that make you more upset? Like, I don't know. I cannot even. Like, it's really as true that you just can't please everyone. So let's get back. So that was the first Saturday visit. Then you would have another visit on Sunday. If it was your first pass, you would go to church with your parents, and then you would ride the bus back to campus and meet your parents there and have lunch together. And then from 1 to 4 would be like your free time visit. If you had an off-campus pass, you also got it from 1 to 4. So it was like 4 hours of free time, but you got to leave church and go like straight to a restaurant for lunch or something with your parents. Also, I'm going to do a brown in the waterline, maybe add a bit of copper. I'll link these. These are ColourPop. ColourPop has my heart. It's one of my favorite affordable makeup lines. So when you went to church together, it was really, really frustrating because whether you had an on-campus or an off-campus pass, your time was really limited. You both got the same 4 hours, and the pastor would kind of like take up the time because he had extra people. Our pastor was very performative, and he had an extra audience whenever our parents came to church. So whenever they came, he would like preach for extra long, and he would have like extra altar calls, and he would have like sometimes on Sunday mornings, he would let us out at a regular time. Sometimes it would be a big worship thing, but almost always when there were extra people watching him, he would like perform. And I don't think that he knew this was the case because how would he know? But he would probably unknowingly, because I don't think he knew how rigid it was for us at the school. Like he never visited our school, even though we frequented his congregation. So I don't think he knew that he was doing this, but he would accidentally or on purpose, however he would take up all of our pastime by preaching extra long. So like I said, like our visits, like for our free time with our parents were from 1 to 4. This man would go on until like it usually let out at 12 regular time, an hour and a half for church. Sometimes it would go to like 1 or 1:30, and we would all just be in our seats next to our parents, absolutely itching to get out. And we weren't allowed to leave early, of course. Like we were only allowed to leave with our parents. I mean, our parents could leave us there, but we weren't allowed to go until he dismissed the entire church. So as soon as he dismissed us, we would bolt. We would be out of there. But sometimes it took so long to get dismissed. It was the most frustrating thing. And then he would like try to get all the parents saved. And then sometimes the parents would get saved. Parents would get saved like quite a lot, which is so silly because like most already were if they were coming here, but there was a couple who like their significant other was like really religious and that's how their kid ended up there and they were just kind of going along with it. But then sometimes they would get caught up in this like crazy church service that they'd be like, yeah, I guess I'm going to get saved now and just like stay all day and we're not going to get to have lunch. Then, I mean, at that point, when it takes up that much of your time, it's just so maddening because you only get these visits. You get 10 hours every other month split up into 2 days. It's not enough time. And it's not even about being with your family. It's about getting to go off campus or having a moment even on campus where somebody isn't watching you and breathing down your neck and where you can't get in trouble. Like, it's just like you can't take that away from us. I'm going to use these gold crystals. These are from Temu, and I will make sure that I can try to link them. I linked them in the past with an unboxing, but I'll try to link these. By the way, something very important if you want to do like a look with crystals is having, of course, a good glue, but also one of these one of these jewel pickers. It's like this silicone putty tip. You need this one, not just that. A lot that I see on jewel pickers just look like the metal tip. That won't really help that much unless it's really tiny. But this silicone tip like picks up the crystal and then you can place it exactly where you want it to be. And everybody needs one if you want to do looks with crystals. It's just like, it's pretty important to have. So let's just say it was your second pass. So you got to go off campus. You would meet your parents at church. You wouldn't drive with them. You would meet them there. And then you would go ahead and get assigned a seat. The staff would assign your seats because they wouldn't want some people together, even if you were under the guidance of your parents. They didn't give a shit. Like, the rules were still the rules, and they were the ultimate authority over you. Your parents were not, because ultimately they felt like your parents don't always know or care about the rules or know how stringent and know how strict they are. So they would really do a lot to like let them know and also still like kind of control us. I just put so much glue under my eye. So you would arrive there, then you get let out, and then you could go to lunch with your parents and maybe have a couple of hours to like peruse around. But Columbus, Georgia was really a small town. So what was interesting about it is that everybody would get let out of church, especially on the second day, and be in the same city. But if you were a part of a different dorm as somebody else, you might bump into a student who goes to the same school, Columbus Girls Academy. I shouldn't even call it a school. They had very little emphasis on education, you know? But I guess we'll call it a school. So maybe you'll bump into another student that you don't really know who's in a different dorm, but maybe your mom met their mom like in one of the parent meetings or something. Like, parents got to know each other, or there were a couple girls too who were literally from Columbus, which is the town right over, the closest town to the School for Troubled Girls. And so when that would happen, if your mom was asking questions or wanted to stop and talk to somebody, you had to literally turn your back. You weren't allowed, even off campus, to communicate with somebody in a different dorm, because if somebody saw you doing that, because we were all in a small town, and you guys know how they encouraged us to tattle. If somebody saw you doing that, they would tell, and you would be at risk for months added. So say you did that and your mom thought it wasn't a big deal, and then your counselor was like, hey, were you guys talking to so-and-so's family? And your mom's like, yeah. Time added, loss of privileges, big discipline. You get in big trouble. Yeah, it was crazy. Sometimes there would be girls who would try to smuggle things in, and we would always have body checks at the end of passes. Every time we came back from pass, they would immediately take you to the dorm and start checking you. So they would go through your bags because you had to shop for some of your items while you were on pass. And so they would go through your items, and then they would also do physical body checks to make sure that you weren't bringing anything. And a couple times, this is so silly, but like, you guys know we're like desperate for food or whatever, because sometimes we'd be hungry, we just wanted snacks, we never got things like candy or chocolate or like any treats. And you know, we're girls, like I have a treat like every single day, and I consider that an essential, but we weren't allowed those things. So once my little sister, she actually got in lots of privileges for smuggling candy in. Obviously, she failed. It's really hard to smuggle stuff in because they do this thing where they have you pull out your bra. I have my mic in my bra. They have you pull out your bra and then shake it out. And if they have further suspicions, then they'll have you like take off all your clothes and put them under. Like, they won't like make you get naked or anything, but they'll have you like take off all your clothes and send them under the shower, then come out in a towel. Then they'll search your stuff, the shower, and make sure there's nothing under the towel. They'll have you like shimmy, you know? So the only time you could smuggle things in is if you put it in certain like, there's really only one place to smuggle something in. And one girl did have a cell phone in there, and it started vibrating. I'm not even kidding you. And she got time added. So yeah, it was really, really hard to smuggle things in. And a lot of disciplines came from family visits because girls would do stuff like that and get caught. This looks pretty. We're going to do lashes too, but not until after I get both of these on because it's so much easier to get these crystals on beforehand. So you saw how I did this one. I'm going to finish it off and then do this one off camera because it's just taking like way too long. You guys see big ones, and then they're small, and they're pretty much all the same size. There's only 3 sizes, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, be right back. Okay, I did both eyes and I put one eyelash on. This lash that I'm using is discontinued, and honestly, I just need to use it because it's been in my drawer for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Like, I feel like I bought this in COVID. But for affordable lashes, I actually recommend clusters and just shopping Ardell and Lily lashes on sale. I love so many of the Lily lashes, not the $30 ones, but like the $15 ones. And sometimes they're like $12 or $10, but routinely they go on sale for 50% off. So you just have to kind of watch it. And then when they go on for 50% off, like buy 10 or buy 6 or buy as many as you need to get a good cost on shipping. I just shop sale because I do get a pro discount, but that is never enough. It's actually better for me to wait until there's like 50% off sales because my lash costs are quite high. Like, I went to shop for clients last month and I spent $200 in lashes alone at the pro store with the discount. So just shop the blowout sales. Ulta has sales a lot too, and I really like their Eyeliner if you're into mink lashes. That's a great brand, and they look pretty similar to like this kind of style. They're like more dramatic and thick and full. And yeah, just shop the sales because lashes are expensive. Just because you can't use them, like you can use a concealer until the last drop. You won't always even finish like cream makeups, but lashes you could go through quite often. Also, keeping them intact by removing the glue and like alcohol swabbing the band every now and then if you really want to wear them again and again. That will help maintain their life. Also, never sleep in them and never get this part wet. If you want them to last a long time, don't put mascara on them either. Now let's do highlight and let's talk about, oh wait, I forgot. I thought of something when my camera was turned off. I thought of something funny. So something we would do in church to impress our parents and try to like incentivize them to take us out, because we had to go to church together and there was always like a worship session that got like quite intense and people would like raise their hands. And so if you really wanted your parents to think that you were like changed and a Christian and maybe they'd want to take you home, you might just put up a hand, close your eyes, put up 2 hands. And I did that a couple times because I really thought my parents would take me out by 6 months, but man, I was in for the shock of my life. They left and did not come back. I got one of these ColourPop stick highlighters. It's like a bronzy shade. It's more golden bronzy. It's called Molten Hot, so let's use this as well. I don't want to highlight that's too champagne or too icy because this is a pretty monochromatic look. And I'm already messing it up from what it's supposed to be because latte makeup is like more simple. But I always do simple makeups, so the crystals just make me feel alive. But yeah, everything should be like a brownish or like a orangey, like warm orangey base. I'm also gonna bump up the shadows a little bit. I love to put bronzer in the eye socket. I did it with the ColourPop, but that one is a little bit too cool. So let's do a little bit of the kimchi. This is like a very orangey pigmented color, and this will just help it pop. And we'll also run this under the lower lash line, under the crystals too. That will give us that latte, like warm kind of look. It's so funny because they're saying that this is like a new trend, this latte makeup. This latte makeup is a makeup artist staple in every single city. This has been the LA makeup to request for years. I have been doing this makeup like since I began working in LA because this is just the look that the girls want. Like, I've done so many Instagram models and put them in this look. That being said, it's a very nice look, but it's not new. Like, they're calling it latte makeup, but really it's just a bronzy glam. Like, it's kind of crazy. I don't know who started that trend, but it's like the saying, like, nothing is new under the sun. Like, it's the truth. Nothing is new under the sun. But you do also, oh, did I not blend out the highlight? Oh, I just didn't on my nose. I did on the cheeks. I'm like, what is that? A little more. See, that really bumped it up. And then I'll do a little bit more over the cheeks as well. You know, usually I'd be a bit more bronzy, but I have a laser appointment coming up, so I can't do any self-tan. When you laser your hair off, you are not allowed to come in with self-tan because it could confuse the laser and burn you. And I don't know, they tell me that, and they won't service me if I come in with self-tan, and they know me and they know I've tried to come in with self-tan before, so they're not going to let it happen, you know. I went in once and the girl was like, the disapproval in her eyes, that hurt. My crystal keeps falling off. Ideally, I would just be like a tan shade of foundation right now, but I'm not. So we're just doing like so much bronzer. I feel like I could wear this in Italy. You guys, I'm going to Europe next month. I've never been. I'm turning 30 next month, so I'm going for my birthday, because if I turn 30 without going, I'm just going to be ashamed of myself, because it's something that I've really wanted to do, and finally I had the opportunity to go. I have my sisters who have finally agreed. They never want to go to Europe. I've asked them so many times. I'm like, we can pool our money, please. The answer has always been no, and now these two bitches have agreed, so I'm going to Europe. I'm so excited, but let's get back to the topic. While we do our lips, I'm going to do a bronzy kind of lip. I'm going to try to change it up because, you know, I always do the same thing, but not today. I'm going to do a bronzy lip. And we're going to talk about the home passes. We're going to go ultra affordable with the e.l.f. lip liner. And if this doesn't work, we'll just change it. But this is like literally the shade brown. What shade is it? Light brown is the color. So maybe this isn't so different from what I'm used to, but you guys, after 12 months of being in the program, if you were really, really good, never got anyone outed or anything, then you would be eligible for a home pass. But many people, many people got their home passes taken away, but I wasn't one of them. So after 12 months, you get your first home visit. The first time you go home is in 1 year. So 1 year, not going home, not seeing your family for longer than 10 hours per weekend at a time. And then you get to spend 7 days at home. So some people weren't so wise. They got their home pass and they ruined it and got in trouble with parents who turned them in, and then they got time added. I'm gonna do the shade Leo from Glossier. Reminds me of my little dog. May he rest in peace. I love you, Leo. A lot of dead people shout outs in this video today. So your home pass was 7 days long, but the rules were the same. You were not allowed to talk to your friends. You were not allowed to listen to secular music. You were not allowed to get on the internet. You were not allowed to do anything that was against the rules, you guys. Actually, this isn't drugstore. Let's use the L'Oreal on top of it, though. Oh, you also weren't allowed to watch TV. You weren't allowed to watch movies that weren't G-rated. So things were very restricted, even on your home pass. And many people had parents that would turn them in if they disobeyed any of these rules. As you know, my dad was more of a stickler, so I couldn't break any rules with him. But my mom literally dropped me off at the mall and left me alone with my friends for a few hours, which was absolutely forbidden. I cannot believe she did that. And if they found out, if I had parents who would turn me in and they brought me back to the campus after the fact, I would have gotten time added. But my mom was like, you know, she was like kind of like my protector. Like she was, but she wasn't. She was in some ways, but in others she was kind of negligent. But yeah, so she left me with my friends at the mall. I had a friendship reunion with all of my best friends. Ooh, I'm loving this lip. There's this highlight shade in this L'Oreal palette. I love this L'Oreal palette. I would maybe die for it. You also weren't allowed to wear revealing clothes, but it was harder for them to keep track of what you were doing when you were on your home visits, because unless your parents told them, they didn't really know. So they wouldn't know if you were wearing revealing clothes. They wouldn't know if your mom took you to meet up with your friends if she didn't turn you in, but they would know if you did something that you weren't supposed to according to your parents, and then your parents told on you. So there's this one girl who I'm still in contact today named Mimi, and she snuck out of the window and she went and hooked up with her little boyfriend on her home pass after being away for a year. And then her mom told the center, because obviously her mom was not down with her sneaking out after sending her off and spending a fortune on fixing her, you know, because it doesn't work, but this is what these parents think they're doing. They think they're fixing you. And then she came back to the center, got months added in her next month, because it's 12, 13, 14 home passes months. She got her next one taken away, and she had to wait like at least 1, but maybe 2 months after that to get back on track and do her home pass again. And then I think maybe even they might have taken the home pass away and had her parents just come to campus instead. Can't remember, but she got months added, and a lot of people get time added that way, because not everybody's mom drops them off to go to the mall with their friends like mine. So yeah, I guess this is the look. Let's see. Do I need anything else? Oh, eyebrows. Oh, I hate doing my eyebrows on camera. Should I even bother? Let's not and say we did. I have a little product in them from earlier. This is our latte makeup. It's kind of like a dark latte for me. Like usually I would go like a little bit lighter and brighter, but I actually really love this look. I wish I was going somewhere. It is now, let's see what time it is. It is now 9:53 p.m. So it is very late for me. I like to get in bed really nice and early, but I woke up at 10 o'clock today and didn't do any of my responsibilities, didn't get anything done. So that's why I'm filming so late. I hope to have this go live for tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed talking with me about the different types of visits. I forgot to mention, I have my Doris hair in. I love these extensions, and they're the only extension, actually they're not the only extensions that make me feel pretty, because I like my other ones too, but I only feel smoking in my extensions lately. My hair is not as blonde as I want, but I'm trying to grow it, so I just have to wear extensions when I want to be a glamorous bitch. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed speaking with you, and I'll see you for the next one.